David Cameron continued his whirlwind tour of EU nations on Friday in an attempt to negotiate the UK's membership to the 28-nation bloc. Chancellor Angela Merkel, accompanied by a military band, greeted the British Prime Minister in Berlin. There he faced crucial talks to gauge how far Germany would go to keep the UK inside the EU, ahead of a referendum on membership pencilled in before the end of 2017. Merkel has backed such a treaty to further unite Eurozone countries in the past, although her views are not shared in other European quarters. Nevertheless, Cameron expressed hope a solution to the threat of a Brexit can be found to satisfy all stakeholders.
But I expect and hope and believe that Europe can show the flexibility that when one of the larger countries, a big contributor, a major European player, has some problems and issues, that those issues can be properly addressed.
Both leaders avoided answering questions about whether such an EU treaty was achievable, although Merkel suggested some areas require some more in-depth discussion. There are other areas we will have to negotiate over longer. There are areas that Germany is concerned about. We will follow the jurisdiction of the European Court very closely in the case of potential abuses linked to the freedom of movement in Europe. There may be cases where it's also in Germany's interest to make some specific changes. Prior to meeting Merkel, Cameron stopped off in the Polish capital Warsaw to meet with his counterpart Eva Kopacz. During talks, she refused to back any UK proposals to limit the freedom of movement of Poles to Britain. Hundreds of thousands of Poles have settled there since it joined the EU in 2000, with the vast majority employed in full-time work. Cameron wants to restrict EU migrants' access to British welfare, improve the single market, and win safeguards to ensure countries outside the Eurozone are not put at a disadvantage by greater integration.